Hi, this is Paul Roberts, Conscious Counseling 101. And today, Jose has written to me and he wants me to talk a little bit about low sociability. Okay, let me start off first by saying when we get a request like this, we do it generically so other people that might have these same types of issues might be able to benefit. He's not necessarily saying he has an issue with it, but he wants a little bit more thought on it. So I'm going to go ahead and elaborate a little bit on it. Got a few notes here. One of the things that we do here at Conscious Counseling is we try to just give people perspective counseling. A different perspective on things can sometimes help. This one might not be a good one for perspective because he's actually in the military. He's actually been told that this area is an area that he could improve if he wanted to. So just thinking of it, looking at it from another point of view isn't going to work in this particular case for perspective counseling because he's already being told by someone that he needs to work on this for their assessment of him. So him looking at something a different way might not help enough. It might help in time, and so I'm going to go ahead and give a few of those pointers as well. But he needs to do something now. He needs to be aware of this now because somebody's asking something of him. So when we have low sociability, believe it or not, here I'm talking to a camera and I seem like I'm enthusiastic and I'm lively and everything. But the truth is, even though I do this, I don't generally do it in public speaking areas. I'm actually an introvert myself. I actually know that I could go out there and not be an introvert. I know that I could go out there and do what I do here in other ways, and maybe I will. And look at this as practice, you know? I look at this as practice. So I take what I know I already got inside me, what I'm already prepared to do, and I flex those muscles, and I use them to give it away for free to anybody that might be interested in gaining anything that I might be able to offer them for free. I like to have this as one of my more positive purposes in life. But I'm an introvert. I've been an artist. I was at the drawing table. I started a forum called Behind the Mask. When I first came out from away from the drawing table and I got into the movie industry and video production and all these things, I still was behind the scenes. I was in the art and prop departments of various features and things like this. I wasn't on the set. I wasn't in front of the camera. I was always behind everything. My first role in fourth grade play was the stage director back behind the scenes and the radio voice that comes out from behind the curtains. I didn't want to be out there in the spotlight. I was an introvert, so I can speak to you on these terms based on the fact that I am an introvert. Now, I'm also high energy. I've gotten into all kinds of things like drumming, but I'm behind the drums, behind the music, behind the band. Batman, costuming, I'm behind the mask. My outer personification of myself is always somewhat disguised. I'm behind the computer. I'm behind the canvas. I'm behind the video camera lens. I'm always doing an injection of all kinds of positive things that require power, energy, insight, analytical abilities, artistic knowledge and understanding. But I am an introvert. So one of the things that low sociability has to do, has in common with other low sociability types of folks, is that a lot of times an introvert is there at the helm of their life. It could be that the person doesn't know what they could do. It could be that the person doesn't care and likes who they are. But when another person asks you, and they're paying you or enlisting your services, you have to rise to the best occasion of what the person wants, not what you want. I think it's great to be an introvert. I think it's great to be alone by thoughts and feelings and artistic endeavors and make and create and take what it is that I do and have it be seen by others and appreciated. I find that to be fine. I don't have to be right up there, right in the spotlight all the time. But let's talk about you. Okay, so don't know you, don't know your age, know your location, that's all. I know what you said you wanted me to talk on, that's all. It's just some pointers, like when you're having conversation with others. I'm assuming maybe you're not very good at it. I just like to start off by saying, whatever you do, try to be aware, try not to be clueless. It's very important. If you're overgoing and you're up in somebody's face all the time, you're too high energy, that's bad. If you're sitting back here and you've got something to contribute and there's something going on but you don't, as you're not quite sure, that's bad too. So we want to get a balance. We want to get a perspective. Here, perspective counseling does actually work to get that balance. To not be clueless. To understand that we want to see the whole and understand it with our perspective counseling. We want to not be clueless. We want to be aware of how we're coming off and why. Very important to know why Why are we coming off? If we're in someone's face and we think we're all that, do we have too much of an ego? If we're standing back, are we afraid that maybe somebody's not going to accept us, or we don't want the rejection, or maybe we don't think that we value our opinions, what we have to offer? Is that maybe why we're being that way? Or is it we're just not sure of ourselves? Maybe we have a speech impediment. Maybe we have other physical or mental handicaps that keep us held back. Maybe we were pushed down a little bit by those who raised us, or society in general had bad vibes coming into our life about, oh, why do we feel less? You don't have, shut up, kid, you don't have anything good to offer, something like that. Maybe that's where it comes from. We don't know where it comes from. Let's just give you some tips, because this is our first video on this. Let's just give you some tips. Hopefully, you're a good listener. Good listening can help develop a better perspective, can help you be more aware of what's going on, and can activate your conscious and your understanding and equip yourself so that when you are ready to finally speak or make an action, you may be more prepared than you may realize, and more prepared than those around you, and better equipped to say the right things in the right ways. So you may be building up a power within yourself that you're not even using or realizing fully, or learning to harness fully. So look at this as a positive that you could be working towards. And I'm just jumping out there. I might be off on a few of these things, but I'm just giving suggestions. I'm going to give you general suggestions for anybody that might be watching this as well. Allow time for people to give you instructions, ask questions, let them elaborate on their stories, and if they're in your face and they like to tell you a lot of things, go ahead and take the time and listen to them. Allow for the small talk and things like that. And have a lot of patience, because soak that in like a sponge, so when you're ready to give back, you have the ability to do so because you've collected the data. You've formulated it while you're sitting there listening quietly. You thought, what can I do with that? Oh, I like that. You make little mental sketches. You make little mental notes. I can use that. Oh, this reminds me of a period in my life where this happened. Oh, I can equate this with a simile or a metaphor when I get a chance to talk about that. Be doing all these things while you're going, and listening very closely. Be doing all these things in your head, so that when you're given the chance, you don't leap out, but you say, yes, let me just take out what I've prepared and eloquently demonstrate the finer points that you've prepared when given the opportunity. Not in a snobbish way, not in an egotistical way, just whatever your demeanor is. You're more equipped now. Take your moment, realize, start to recognize when that moment is there for you to seize that moment so that you're prepared for it and you're ready. And then take it. If you're a slow talker, talk slow. But think about what it is you're going to say ahead of time so that when you do talk slow, what comes out is more available to helping whatever the situation is, adding to whatever the situation is, solving some of the problems. While you're listening and you're compiling these mental notes inside, have that poker face, look interested. Oh, yeah. Okay. Ask questions. Nod. Look like you're in agreement. Or, make a few faces maybe, but not too many, because if you throw in a wrench into the work, like, oh, it might stop all the positive input you're getting if you look skeptical at that moment, you're not having a poker face. You're letting the person know that, I was going on a roll, but now all of a sudden he put up a stop sign here, or I'm going to be more cautious. All of a sudden now the flow of information that you were going to use might not be flowing as much because you put up a skeptical face. Try to remain positive and listen and attentive, like you're genuinely drawn to this person, and they're going to feel more comfortable when you're doing this, and they're going to release more information to you because they're going to see you as a helper, as a potential friend, as a potential assistant to them, and the flow of information is going to come more. And if you do the right things with the flow of information, you'll have more in your utility belt to pick out and say, here, let me offer these suggestions when the time comes. So be aware of that. Ask questions. Maybe in a way that it helps you to allow the other person to see something you saw long ago or discover what you're talking about, even though you already know it, and then act interested when you see them that make that breakthrough. Go, oh yeah, see, you see it? We see it together. And that's a positive then. You've allowed them to come forth. You already knew. Jump on whatever they come forward with and say, yeah, we're thinking alike on that. That kind of thing builds bonds. A lot of times, brainstorm. A lot of sociables, people that are stronger in these ways, think out loud. As an artist, one of the things I have done, even as an introvert, is think out loud, brainstorm. We've been in environments, like if you're in drama, like my daughter, she's on the stage, they're encouraging. The last thing they're going to do is push her down. When you're on the stage in front of everybody, as an artist, we'd sit in in art school, and we'd critique, and we provided a safe environment so that everybody could speak about things that was on their mind without driving the person down. So it's constructive criticism. Try to create a safe environment. If you recognize that you're in a safe environment, then talk out loud a little bit more. Think out loud a little bit more. Feel free to brainstorm a little bit more. But be also, like I said, not clueless. Don't say stupid, dorky things. Think about it first. Think twice, say once. You know, like measure twice, cut once. Make sure that you're holding on to this thought that you know is a gem, and you keep thinking about it while you're thinking about what they're saying. And at the most opportune moment, give it out. Once you've drawn the best conclusion you have about what the circumstances that are being talked about, don't dismiss it and say, no, my conclusions aren't worthwhile saying. Go ahead and take a chance that they're worthwhile saying. Say the best thing you can in the best way, and trust and hope that what you have might be seen as valuable. If it's not, don't react wildly and angrily. Just wait for another time and try again. If at first you don't succeed, try again. If you fall, pick yourself up. If you find yourself in charge of a situation and you see somebody doing something, don't just assume you know why they're doing it. Go ahead and ask them about it. Feel free to get them to elaborate a little bit. Make yourself more aware of what they're thinking before you come down on them like a ton of bricks. Give them a chance to elaborate. Maybe even talk through some of the mistakes that they're saying that they're making. If they say something, they might actually notice they're doing something wrong, or saying, hey, you know, when I said it out loud, it doesn't sound as good as what I thought when I was doing it. Give them a chance to make a mistake and shrug it off. If there's no real harm done, give them a chance to say, oh yeah, that's one way to do it, but try this. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And ask them, what do you think? That way they can tell you. Ultimately, if you're in charge, it doesn't hurt you to know what they think. It helps you to know what they think. Ultimately, you'll have to drop the boom and say, well, yeah, but the higher-ups say we have to do this. I was an art director one time, and I was like a little busy honeybee going around all these different places in the TV shows and behind the scenes and stuff. And I'd hear all these different problems from everybody about, oh, they don't understand what we're going through, and they don't know that what they give us isn't enough to work with, and then they expect this, and we can't deliver, and all these other people, and this person I'm working with, and this person doesn't understand, and we have a bad relationship here, and they don't have the money for this project, and it needs to be done this way, and we're doing it this way because we have to. And all I do is go around, yes, and comfort them and go, you're doing a great job, you know. I hope that we can get them to appreciate what you're doing here, because what you're doing needs to be seen and needs to be respected. They're also saying we have to do this too. And so I can respect you, and I know some of the other crew's gonna see what you're doing. We appreciate it. We're just being told that we have to make this tweak, we have to make this bend, we have to make this change. It has to be a little different. And I just go around to every little department and do this. And ultimately, a lot of times problems never got solved. But you know what? People were made to feel better as they were on the journey in their departments. And the show got made. So if you're in charge, the show has to get made. You don't want to be false. They can see you if you're false a mile away. Express genuine interest in what the person's doing and the problems that they're having and they're overcoming and their craftsmanship and their ability and their drive. But at the same time, say, oh, man, I feel for you. I see what you're saying. That's a good attitude you've got. That's a great product you're creating. These are great skills that you're exhibiting. Maybe there'll be instead of saying but, say, maybe there'll be a way to show this on another part of the project or in another way, some other way. Is there a way that we could make this, don't say but, is there a way we can make this a little bit different so that we kind of give them an offering now, more of what they're looking for, so that we can get on to the next phase? So be amenable, okay? All right. And of course, likewise, share what you're thinking. Don't assume they can read your mind. Be frank and friendly. Talk like you're talking to yourself. Talk like you'd want to be talked to. Okay? Be so honest so that if you just fail in everything you say, at least when you're walking away, they'll say to you, well, at least he was friendly and honest. Gotta give them that. Not many people are. So even when you fail, they've got something good to say about what you tried to do. That's so important. And then, set up some kind of schedule or times that you can use, that they know they can count on you to come by and check out what they're doing, to communicate. They can have their concerns ready for you. You can have your checkup list for them. Things like that. That's if you're in charge. If you're not in charge, you're subordinate, just say, yes, sir, a lot. And I'll do my best. And I had a magician friend, and he used to say, even before you get on stage, when you show up for the gig, when you get out of your car, you're already on, even though no one can see you. Believe you're saying yes, sir, inside. Believe you're ready to jump and take it on, even before you're asked. And that spirit will come out as a real positive thing, not just a yes, sir, that anybody can do. Doesn't matter how loud you say it, you can be read. Do you really mean yes, sir? Or are you just saying it because somebody's above you and you're cowering down below them? Yes, sir, yes, sir. No, you're ready. You're ready to say yes, sir. You're ready to say, I can do that. I'm going to do that to the best of my ability. And then you tackle it to the best of your ability. And if you know something's coming up, you maybe do a little research, try to get your abilities up a little bit, up just enough before the opportunity comes to where you know you're going to be doing something. And then you do the best you can. And you know what? When you've done the best you can, what more can you ask of yourself, and what more can anybody else ask? And if anybody thinks you don't measure up to their level, well, then maybe you don't need to be there giving of yourself to that person or that entity in the first place. If you can't be where you're respected and appreciated and needed, try to look for other places where you can be respected and appreciated and needed. Do that for yourself. But only after you've done all these other things that I'm talking about here and done your very best to be positive. I'm Paul Roberts, and this is Conscious Counseling 101, and that's our first video on this, so probably a few things probably missed. I don't know, the person or the circumstances, but I've just given you like a great big old generic thing, and if you're not helped by it at all, maybe the next person will be. But even if you aren't, comment. Tell me what you thought, and tell me what else you'd like me to elaborate on further, or tell me what I was way off on and I've got to do something differently. I appreciate that and respect that from you. If you'll do that, that'll be my request. And I've done what I've said I'm going to do, and I'll continue to do it if you'd like.